I will never forget how daunting of a task it was to figure out which suburb was the best fit for me and my family after choosing to relocate to Idaho. We were very prayerful about the move, and I was confident that Idaho was the only state that we were going to call home. But it was much more difficult when it came to selecting which suburb of Boise, Idaho, we were going to call home. And several moves later, I'm too embarrassed to say how many. And after helping hundreds of families relocate to Idaho, I feel like I have now a really good grasp on not just the best fit for me and my needs, but I can really help other people hone in on which location makes sense for them and their family. Let me start out by saying that when I discuss the suburbs, in many ways, it is like comparing apples to apples because so many of the qualities that you desire when you're looking to relocate to Boise, Idaho, are available in most of the suburbs. And you'll just find little pockets here and there that don't check all of your boxes. But for the most part, whether you pick Meridian, Eagle, Middleton, Star, Nampa, Cuna, you name it, they are all going to have a lot of qualities that are very, very similar. So I'm going to start out by comparing the apple to apple points in the different suburbs. And then I will take a little bit deeper dive and really break down a little bit more what I look for when I'm talking to people to help kind of steer them in different directions as far as different suburbs and really compare the bigger differences. So let's start out by talking about cleanliness. I know many of you are so used to seeing litter on the ground that you don't even notice it anymore. But let me tell you, here in the Treasure Valley, Idaho, it is not common to see litter pretty much anywhere. So when you see it, it stands out like a sore thumb, and you're probably going to be racing somebody else to pick it up and throw it away because everybody here has pride of ownership or pride of community. And we do a really stinking good job, stinking, no pun intended, of keeping the Treasure Valley clean. I absolutely admire that everyone really comes together to take care of the environment and community and keep things looking really nice. I will say there are a little bit of pockets in Central Meridian, maybe a couple here and there in Nampa and Caldwell, and then definitely some that stand out in Garden City. And when we're working with you to help you relocate here, we really make sure we steer you clear of those areas. But like I said, they are very, very teeny tiny little pockets. And actually, in comparison to some of the cleaner suburbs in California, let's say, or parts of Oregon and Washington, those areas here in Idaho, still much more clean and much more free of litter than anything that you've been dealing with. Next big thing is safety. I hear rumors all the time about some different suburbs here in Boise, Idaho that are not safe, and people are petrified, thinking that if they even go there to visit, they're going to end up around gangs or all of these racist, violent crimes. And I'm here to tell you, there is not a suburb in Boise, Idaho where I'm not uncomfortable leaving my car unlocked. It just doesn't happen. Now, there is crime because where there's people, there's crime. But people are always surprised to hear that our crime has actually decreased over the last few years, not increased, which is super surprising to a lot of people because with the influx of people who have relocated here over the years, people just figured that the crime has gone up too. But what I believe is going on is that because the people who are relocating here are choosing to come here to get away from those high crime and, the dirty streets and the homelessness, et cetera, that it's the kind of people you want to live around and that want to keep Idaho, Idaho. So we've just been moving in all the good people and pushing the bad ones further and further away. So that's my theory. But all in all, the suburbs here in the Treasure Valley, Idaho, are very safe, and you're just not going to feel like you have to leave a park before sunset or not be able to go to the park at all with your kiddos. You're going to be able to enjoy all of the community events and your neighborhood without worrying about getting jumped or someone carjacking your car or some kind of gang violence. And oh, as far as the gang violence rumors, I will address that with you right now. So, way back in the day, there were some gangs in Caldwell, Idaho. It has been cleaned up, and that is just not an issue anymore. Um, I remember when I lived in Los Angeles and when I worked in a school district right outside of Los Angeles, gangs were kind of part of everyday life. The children I was working with had family members that were in gangs, if not get in gangs themselves. And I just remember that it was just one of those things. We all knew they were there. And like I said, it was a way of life for many people. But here, that is pretty much non-existent. So you don't have to worry about that, which I also think for those who are still raising children is quite a blessing to know that if you are sending your kids off to school, that you don't have to worry about them getting mixed up with a crowd like that or being exposed just to that sad lifestyle. The next big thing that is like comparing apples to apples between each of the suburbs is community and values. You guys, there is nothing more beautiful or that gives me more goosebumps than when I get to talk about and share with people how amazing the community here is in the Treasure Valley, Idaho. We are patriots. Most of us are believers. We all want a safe, God-fearing, free country to live in, retire in, and raise our children in. And that is what you are going to get pretty much no matter which suburb of Boise, Idaho you end up in. There are always going to be the one-offs, but here they are definitely the minority and not the majority. It's so incredible to see people offering a helping hand to their neighbors in the winter to plow their snow or watch their houses when they're on vacation. It's been so cool that each and every neighborhood I have lived in here, the people in our community who are retired have kind of taken the kiddos under their wings and will bring little gifts by for the holidays or for their birthdays. It's so cool. I encourage you when you relocate to Idaho, if you are someone who is interested in building community, do not become a garage door neighbor. Don't just drive into the garage and get out of your car and go into your home. And then when it's time to leave, jump back in your car and pull out. Put your lawn chair out on your driveway and get engaged with your neighbors. Many of the suburbs here are full of HOAs, and I know a lot of people are really scared of HOAs, but here in the Treasure Valley, Idaho, our HOAs are amazing and they put together many of them community events, which is another great way to get to know your neighbors. It's so cool because if you relocate here and if you're making the move without family and you are scared because you don't know how you're going to go about finding friends, let me tell you, the people here are going to become family for you pretty quickly. It's pretty awesome. And I will go over some of the areas that I think are even more community oriented. And I will get into some of the communities more specifically in the second part of this video when I break down some of the differences between each of the suburbs. Okay, next thing is conservative values. Oh, we get all these keyboard warriors talking about people relocating here from out of the state, turning the state blue. Let me tell you, that is just not the truth. The people who are relocating to the suburbs of Boise, Idaho are MAGA loving patriots and they are voting red, red, red. And you'll see these big pickup trucks driving around with American flags on them, or don't tread on me flags, or everyone's homes have American flags up. Right now, it's election season, and you just see Trump and MAGA everywhere. Those are the people who have relocated here from Idaho. A lot of the original or earlier generations of Idahoans were not super politically motivated, and many of them were down the middle or left leaning. And you still have a sprinkle of that. Of course, just like with any other state, when you get into the city, so here it's in downtown Boise, you are going to get a lot of blue voters or middle of the road voters. I myself do not enjoy the political climate in Boise, Idaho, to put it very lightly. But as far as the rest of the suburbs go, you're safe. They're all conservative. Homeowner taxes. So, again, comparing apples to apples, we have Ada County and Canyon County. And Canyon County, the taxes on your home are a little higher than they are in Ada County. But all in all, depending on where you're coming from or the other states that you're looking at moving to, Texas, our homeowners' taxes are way lower than what you are used to seeing. We have a homeowner's exemption here where, let's say, your house that you purchase is $1 million. You get to take $125,000 off of the value of that $1 million, and you pay taxes on 875,000 bucks. So that's another way that we have some additional savings on homeowners taxes. But all in all, they are pretty low. I know a lot of the people who reach out to us looking to relocate to Idaho who are needing help are also looking at Texas. And let me tell you, there are some big, beautiful estate homes or just homes beyond your wildest imagination in Texas for $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. You're not going to find those house prices here, but your mortgage is probably going to be less for a more expensive home because in Texas, the taxes are where they get you. So even when you're purchasing a home with a higher price point here in Idaho, you're probably going to be spending less every month because of those taxes. It really makes a significant impact. And that's something that we can really sit down and work out and crunch out those numbers with you when you call into us. Homelessness. This is another thing. No matter which suburb you end up in of Boise, Idaho, you are not going to encounter much or any homelessness at all. It is just not a thing out here. If you go to downtown Boise, you are going to see a little bit of it, but even in our city, not quite. Not much. There was a time when I initially relocated here that there was not any homeless population whatsoever that I ever saw in downtown Boise. And these days, it's a little bit different. The first person I actually saw that was living on the streets, I was doing an open house on one of my listings in downtown Boise, and one of my flags disappeared on my open house sign, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I thought that's really weird. And after my car was all packed up and I was driving away, I saw him dancing on the corner with my flag. I asked for it back and he kindly gave it to me. So that was yeah, I thought that was just kind of funny. So even our homeless population is friendly out here. I mean, what do you say? He gave me back what he stole from me and it was easy breezy. No uncomfortable encounter. Drugs. Drugs are not a major issue here in the Treasure Valley, Idaho, like they are in many other suburbs around the United States. And I know, especially for people who are raising kiddos, that that is a huge relief to hear. I used to be a nurse and I worked in LA and Seattle with many teens and young adults and you name it, all walks of life, struggling with addiction. And for many of those people, their drug use started at a young age because they were exposed many, many times, often before their first time using. And I know I cannot turn a blind eye, and I'm not encouraging you to turn a blind eye either, but I do feel like the likelihood of my children here in the Treasure Valley being exposed to drug use, that it's just not a prevalent problem. For those of you who are not aware, marijuana is not legal in Idaho. It is legal in our bordering states. I know many people will drive to Oregon to purchase marijuana and bring it back here. And I would say that's probably our biggest drug issue. And then as you get out into the more rural parts of Idaho, you are going to encounter more drugs and more addiction issues. I think when there's a little bit less to do, drugs kind of enter the picture, and that's just with any rural part of the United States. But as far as our suburbs here, let me tell you, it is very rare that I ever hear of any kind of drug problem. Schools, education. Okay, as far as the suburbs here in Boise, Idaho, the education, when you look up the schools, it is going to look like that Idaho stinks when it comes to providing an education. It's going to show that we rank super, super low across the board compared to everywhere else in the country. Well, guess what? What you are looking at when you see those scores and rankings and statistics is that we are not spending a lot of money per student in our public schools. So we are being ranked low because that is how they do the rankings. The more money that somebody or that a city or school district puts into each child helps rank the schools much higher. If you were to look at our test scores alone, many of our schools in our districts here in the state of Idaho actually rank in the top 3, 4, 5 across the nation. And you can bet that your kids are going to get a much better and safer education in our public and charter schools here in Idaho than they will get if you are living in another state. A lot of people ask about the vaccine requirements here and is it different between the different counties or the different suburbs? And the answer is no, it's not. You do not have to vaccinate your children in order for them to attend public school here, or charter schools, private schools, you name it. And as far as education is concerned, this is a state that gives you the freedom to choose how your children will obtain that education. And there is a plethora of support for you no matter which direction you choose to go. So if you are interested in homeschooling, it is very, very common for families in every suburb to homeschool their kids. It's very common for people to choose different charter schools, public school, private school, you name it. Now, remember, the public schools are still government run schools, and you are going to encounter on a much smaller scale a lot of the things that people are concerned with their children being taught. And I'd say the biggest difference is that the community here is not okay with that. And we get together to make sure that our kiddos are safe and not being exposed to the woke agenda that the left is pushing through the public schools in other states. So, as far as those major category goes, that's what you can really expect with pretty much any suburb that you end up in. I am going to kind of start to steer you a little bit in different directions based on some of the more specific needs that people have when they're relocating to the Treasure Valley, Idaho, to help you figure out which suburb you should do a little bit more research on. But one thing I will say is we relocate hundreds of families here, and there's not really a way for me to know which suburb to point you to without having a one-on-one conversation and really getting to know you. So please, if you are thinking about relocating here, don't hesitate. Reach out, give us a call, shoot us a text, write us an email. You're going to want to get on a Zoom with my team so that we can spend some time really getting to know you and picking your brain so that we can really figure out which suburb is best for you. And don't wait, if you're coming to visit, we do build out self-guided tours for you based on your needs so that you have a roadmap of exactly where to visit and which parts of the valley to look at while you're here. That way, you're not driving around aimlessly, wasting your time and your trip looking at all the wrong places because let me tell you, most people don't end up in the parts of the Treasure Valley that they've been researching, sometimes for years here on YouTube. They end up somewhere totally different. So definitely sit down with us. Okay, I have people ask me, where is the reddest part of the Treasure Valley, Idaho? I want to be where the Patriots are, just red through and through. And my answer for that is probably Nampa. You're going to find a lot of that in Nampa, Kuna, Middleton, Star, the smaller areas. The further away from Boise, Idaho, the redder it gets, but it's really red in Meridian and Eagle still also. But if you're looking for like back home, down, conservative, like patriot, farming, all of the things, you're probably going to be drawn to Nampa, Kuna, Middleton, and Star. If you are looking for luxury and land and more custom finishes and custom style homes, you're going to probably be looking more towards Eagle. The thing about Eagle that is not exciting for some of our families or people who are working outside of the home is that it's not super close to the freeway. So, depending on your commute and what your commute looks like, there are parts of Eagle that a lot of people do not enjoy relocating to. And I know Eagle is really high on many people's list. And the other thing about Eagle is it's going to cost you more to purchase a home in Eagle than it is in pretty much most of the other suburbs. So for the same home, you will pay a lot less in areas like Nampa, let's say, or Caldwell, Meridian. There are parts of Meridian and even parts of Boise that are so close to Eagle, and you get the exact same lifestyle living in those locations as you would if you were living in Eagle, but for much less money. So we do have some secret little pockets that we can get you. I mean, they're so close that you're going to shop at the same grocery store as someone with an Eagle address, go to the same movie theater, same restaurants, you name it, but you'll be a little bit closer to the freeway, a little bit closer to some of your less common shopping. So maybe like your clothes shopping, things like that. And you're going to spend a lot less money on a house. As far as school districts are concerned, even if you're a retiree and you're purchasing a home, Meridian and Eagle are, I would say, the top of people's list when it comes to relocating, looking for good public and charter schools. As far as good private schools go, up and down Chinden Road, kind of wedged between Linder and Eagle Road, are three of the most desirable private schools in the Treasure Valley. They are Challenger, St. Ignatius, and Ambrose, and they are all off of the same main road. And that road is the dividing line between Meridian and Eagle. And the prices of the home on the Meridian side are much less expensive than they are on the Eagle side. But that location is super wonderful for people who don't just want, let's say, good private schools or good public schools, but would like to be near a Costco and very conveniently located to other shopping, have pretty fast access to the freeway and the airports. I would say up and down that strip is the number one area that we relocate families to. It's where I myself have ended up. So I really like it because it's also very suburban and convenient, but it's very, very close to the Boise River and the Green Belt. For those of you who are not familiar with the Green Belt, it runs along the Boise River, and you can ride a bike or walk all the way to downtown Boise from the Green Belt. You can fish in the river. You can take your kiddos and find a spot along the river, and it's not crowded. We were just there on a holiday weekend, and we didn't have anybody next to us at all. So I really love that we can escape to the great outdoors, which is why a lot of people love Idaho and choose to relocate to Idaho. But we're also in the suburbs, and as a busy working mom, the convenience of being so close to a Costco, let me tell you, and there's not a lot of traffic in this area. It's just really wonderful. Now, if you are looking for a home with RV parking is few and far between RV storage here in the Treasure Valley, Idaho. So if you want that in your home, there are going to be areas where it is much easier and much more affordable to find a home with an RV bay to put your toys. And that would be areas like Nampa, Cuna, Star, Middleton. The builders are doing an excellent job of building homes with RV bays. As you get closer to Boise, it's going to be fewer and far between. So that's definitely something that you're going to want to share with us when you reach out. And then childcare. We are in a childcare desert here in the Treasure Valley, Idaho. It is tough to find preschools and daycares for your kiddos, and it's going to be a little bit easier to do so in Meridian, a little bit more difficult as you get closer to Boise and some other little pockets. So if you are looking for a lot of options as far as preschool and childcare is concerned, Meridian, just overall for families, is really an excellent choice for a lot of reasons, but that's one of the big reasons. As far as more of the details and the nitty-gritties between the different suburbs, really it is going to come down to your lifestyle, your needs, and just having to reach out and sit down and talk on a Zoom call with us so that we can figure out which suburb is the best location for you and your family. Until the next video, be blessed.